Hello data enthusiasts, welcome once again to my YouTube channel. Today we'll continue with our teaching on NumPy array, that is Numerical Python. Now today we'll be looking at array manipulation. What does that mean? How to manipulate array? An array, a one-dimensional array is equivalent to a row, that is a record. A two-dimensional array is equivalent to a table which contains row and column, while a three-dimensional array is equivalent to like a database containing several tables. So in this array manipulation, we'll be looking at how to join two tables together in different ways, whether joining them based on column or rows, how to stack tables, stacking tables upon each other, whether row, axis, or column way. So you're going to see how arrays can be manipulated in numerical Python. Here we have two tables. We created two tables. We call the first one array 1. We call the second one array 2. Now look at it properly. Let me arrange it. You will see it's in a row and column way. So look at it now. As I've arranged it, you can see 2 and 6, they are in a column. 4 and 8 are in a column. While 2 and 4, they make up the row. 2 and 4 make up the row. So the same thing applies to array 2. 3 and 7 is a column. 5 and 9 is a column. While 3 and 5 makes up a row. You can see a row is usually in a bracket. You can see the second row, which is 7 and 9, is in the second bracket. Now, the outer bracket, which is this outer square bracket, encompasses everything. That makes it now look like a table. So once you see two brackets, that is this first bracket and this second bracket, you know you're talking about a two-dimensional array which involves rows. Now, the first row has 3 and 5, while the second row has 7 and 9. And the rows coming together makes up a column. So we have 3 and 7 as the column, 5 and 9 as the column. So let's go ahead. So now when you want to combine on axis 0, now when you hear axis 0 means row combination. That is, you are combining two rows. That is, you are combining the data in row format. So what does that mean? In real life scenario, you are saying, okay, we have record of Esther. Now we want to add the record of James. So in a normal database, when you are adding the record, it goes below. So you have Esther record already. So you want to add it on axis 0. It means you should add the record under the previous record. So that will now be record number 2, which is the next record. So you are adding on axis 0 that way. But when you are adding on axis 1, it means you are adding it column wise. So for example, if a table has records of, for example, students that are engaging in some subject, let's say mathematics and English. So we'll say, okay, for example, this is the record. So this first column now contains the details of mathematics scores, while this second column contains English scores. So if you are going to be concatenating or combining based on axis 1, it means the next information you will be adding will be here, which will be the next column. So we can say maybe the next one will be subject geography. So we'll have the score of geography here, maybe 1 and 2. So that is the meaning of adding on axis 1. When I run the program, you see how the result is and you understand better. When you say add combine on axis none, the two tables will merge together into one role, one record. And finally, stacking. Stacking involves combining two tables together, forming two separate tables which you combine together again and put in another table. So this will give you a three-dimensional array. So let's look at the result of this code. I run this code. Now look at the results below. Okay, this is our original array. This is the second one. Now concatenate on axis 0. Look at it. 2 and 4, that is the record for table 1. We call it array 1, or you call it table 1. So we can see 2 and 4 is the first record of Esther. And we now see 6 and 8, which is the next one that is shown here, is this next person's record for table 1. Now we are concatenating on row axis. Now it comes to table 2, picks the first row, which is the record of the first student, and the record involves 3 and 5, contains 3 and 5, and it takes it and adds it below. So that will be the third record. And it takes the second record of table 2 and adds it below, and it becomes the fourth record. Take note, they are all merged into one table. So it is still one table. You can see the bracket outside here. These two brackets, it's still one table. So seeing that it's still one table, so we continue. Now, adding on axis 1. Take a look at it. It takes, you can see here, we're dealing with column base now. So we see the first column for table 1 is 2 and 6. It contains the value 2 and 6. That is column 1. Look at it here, column 1, 2 and 6. Column 2, 4 and 8 for table 1. Column 2 is 4 and 8. Look at it here, 4 and 8. Now we go to table 2. We take the first column of table 2. This is table 2. And the first column contains 3 and 7. 3 and 7. So it takes 3 and 7 and comes to add it to this side, which is column axis. So this is it here, 3 and 7. That is the next column. Then the final column in table 2 is 5 and 9. It comes to add it to the side, 5 and 9. So they are all merged into one table. Okay, so we go to the next one. Concatenate on axis none. So it takes the row 1 of table 1 and puts it, takes the next row of table 1 and adds it. Take note, it is on stacking that is emptying the table and putting everything in one array. You can see we have only one bracket here, meaning it's emptying everything to be on only one row. So it takes 2 and 4, next one 6 and 8, then it goes to table 2, 3 and 5, you can see it here, and finally 7 and 9. That is what on axis none. So if you don't specify the axis, all your record will just jam pack together and be modeled up to have this. So there are sometimes you might need your result to be in this way. So take note. Then finally stacking. Okay. So I've commented out the other operations and I want to focus on stacking now. So I've run the code again. So here, this is the result. Now we have our array 1, which contains 2, 4, 6, 8. We have our array 2, which contains 3, 5, 7, 9. Now our stacking on axis 1, according to the code, you can see it is stacking on the column axis. Now the column axis means by the side, not at the bottom. Axis 0 means at the bottom, just like adding another record, but axis 1 means by the side. That is like adding another column. Now look at this place below here. I had to give an illustration here. So we have this first one, array 1. This first one, array 1. So we can see 2, 4, 6, 8. Then we take array 2 and we put it by the side. Look at it closely. Now, for stacking now, after putting it by the side, what it does is it takes the first row here and takes the second row in the first row in this first table and the first row in the second table, and it puts them together in one table here. It's not merging it. It is just taking the row and putting the other row below it. Look at it here. So 2, 4, then 3, 5. Then it takes 6, 8, and 7, 9, and puts it together. That's what we have here. That's what we have here. Putting it in one table. Now it takes the two tables and puts two of the two tables in one table, or rather we call it database. So that's why you can see 3 brackets here. So I say a 3-dimensional array is like a database. So this is how stacking works on axis 1.